Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here with this week's crypto market sentiment report. And boy, there is a lot happening this week. So very excited to jump right in. But just before we do, let's just give a shout out to our new sponsor, which of course is Nexo. Are you ready to grow your wealth with the world's leading digital assets institution? Nexo? Well, I hope you are, because you can earn up to 12% on your digital assets with Nexo's high yield savings account. So treat yourself, treat your crypto, and treat your fiat with the industry's best crypto and fiat services. What are the services? Well, they include a compounding interest, which is paid out daily. There are 18 available cryptocurrencies, including BTC, ETH, and Litecoin, lots of stable coins, and many more. And there are 3 fiat currencies accepted: the euro, the pound, and USD. And Nexo has up to $375 million worth of insurance on all custodial assets. As you know, top-ups and withdrawals are available at any time, and there are 0 fees for using the Nexo Earn Suite. All right, are you ready to start earning? It's very simple. Just go to Nexo, and that's spelled Nexo.io. All right, let's get into it. Right, on with the show. All right, so here we are on bravenewcoin.com. And look up here, we can see, there's been a fairly sharp fall in the crypto markets over the last 24 hours. And look, this is just kind of continued downside, right? So easiest way to understand this really is just look at a heat map, right? So if we look at the Coin360 heat map, and well, it's pretty much a sea of red. Bitcoin down to just under 32,000 US at the moment. ETH down to well under $2,000 at the moment. So and you can see it's carnage really. Everything is in the red. And what is the reason for that? Well, I think everyone knows it's this news that's coming out of China, right? So the China FUD, it just keeps coming. Is it FUD? Well, not really. It's there's some real stuff happening in China, right? So what are the headlines? Look, very easy. So look, China says that banks must block crypto transactions so the market falls. So what's going on, right? So China's central bank has come out and said that institutions must no longer provide a trading, clearing, and settlement for crypto transactions, which of course is, I guess not good if you're a Chinese crypto investor. So the People's Bank of China on Monday told the country's major financial institutions that they must stop facilitating virtual currency transactions, right? And so this is on the back of I guess the Chinese authorities have begun a clampdown on crypto mining, crypto trading, and really all kinds of crypto transactions, right? And while we've had these Chinese these kind of headlines, China bans Bitcoin, we've had these headlines all throughout Bitcoin's history, and they often have a negative effect on price, and then price bounces back. But this time it does seem there's a lot more to it, and the Chinese authorities are really clamping down, right? And so that's been obviously reflected in the market price. So the Agricultural Bank of China released so they released this statement, which was then deleted. It's a little bit complicated. It was deleted, then it came back, and then Alipay, of course, one of the big platform service providers in China. So a lot of people do all their transactions on Alipay, who issued a statement. So I've got the statement here. So this is from Agricultural Bank of China. Sorry. So they basically say that this is a statement on prohibiting the use of services for Bitcoin and other virtual currency transactions. I mean, there's a bit to it, but really it just says, in order to further implement the spirit of the meeting of the Financial Committee of the State Council, blah, 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 our bank does not carry out or participate in any business activities related to virtual currency and prohibits the access of customers involving virtual currency transactions and will increase investigation and monitoring of customers and capital transactions, right? So it goes on to say that customers should be highly alert to the risks of virtual currency related business activities and so on. All right. Now, it's always a little bit difficult to really understand the nuance of what is happening in China, right? That's traditionally, been an issue. And one of the ways we can get around that is, I guess, talk to people or look for sources that are on the ground in China, right? And one of those sources is Sino Global Capital, which is, I guess, they're like an investment firm based in Beijing, and they invest in blockchain services that are related to the crypto ecosystem, but also China, right? So they're on the ground. So this is just the China Roundup of the week. So this is from a day or two ago. So they note that some mining firms in Sichuan have shut down. And but they say that not all mining farms in China have shut down, or nor will they. But they say most of the farms were already leaving, with a lot of the smaller and medium sized farms still at that time unaffected. But we did see the Bitcoin hash rate starting to fall. And they talk about how some institutional miners had already started migrating overseas from China as early as March, because they could kind of see this rising negative sentiment in China, right? So they were making plans, and then as these bans came into effect, in Mongolia and Sichuan especially, these miners began to accelerate their process of moving out. So some moved, some simply sold their machines, and there were a lot of machines for sale. So we'll come back to that in a second. All right. So as a result of this, we have seen the Bitcoin hash rate start to fall from a kind of a high up here back in May. You can see it really, there has been a fall. Probably see it on, yeah. So you can see that it's quite a sharp drop off as some of these big mining farms in Sichuan go offline and begin to move their rigs, their machines to wherever they are moving them to. Now, so here's another update from Sino Global Capital. This one is from last night. So again, they talk about how China's central bank has pressed the five major banks in China and Alipay to crack down on crypto trading. So the Chinese authority, again, they point out that they're worried about speculative trading in crypto, and that what effect this can have on the economic and financial order, and of course the possibility of criminal activities, whether that be illegal asset transfers, money laundering, and just the opportunity for people to lose money, right? So yeah, so that's just kind of an update on what's been happening. So I guess we know that has all happened. Just for if you want a bit more background on what really does happen in China from the perspective of Sino Global Capital. So I did a podcast about a week or so ago with Matthew Graham, who is, of course, the CEO at Sino Global Capital, and we kind of talked about all this. And I guess just one of the key points that Matthew always makes is this, right? So while it does look like that China is kind of, for all intents and purposes, they are clamping down on Bitcoin and crypto, also worth bearing in mind that China does see blockchain as a key strategic pillar, critical to their growth, right? But it's just like, when they think about blockchain, I guess they may be more thinking about their own central bank digital currency initiative, if you like, right? So I think Matthew always says, China's moving forward with its digital currency initiative and continuing to hold trials. So, you've always got to understand what are the motivations of, I guess, the Chinese ruling party. And that's just always an important nuance that should be kept in mind. But, to kind of hear Matthew's thoughts on that in full, I recommend listening to that podcast. All right. So now, let's get some more context here. So Nick Carter, of course, he notes that, some mining farms in Sichuan, they're gone. We've seen them. They've been turning off their rigs, right? And so he acknowledges the mining ban. Yep, it is actually happening this time, right? And we've seen the hash rate drop. Hash rate transition is real, and the nature of Bitcoin hash rate will entirely change across the next 6 to 12 months as these miners do locate or relocate. Now, Nick says he doesn't view the Chinese mining bans as inherently dangerous to Bitcoin or destabilizing, and in fact, quite the contrary, as they de-risk one of the more important historical critiques of Bitcoin, which is basically that, Bitcoin is not as decentralized as everyone would think, because so much of the mining was concentrated in China, and China being an authoritarian country, what is the risk there, right? So, the good news is that a lot of this mining is going to relocate out of China, and, potentially to, does it go to away from some of the Chinese dirty coal mining to more renewable mining sources around the world? Look, it's really too soon to say how all this plays out, but I think the good point is that, perhaps Bitcoin mining will end up being more decentralized and hopefully on a clean energy footing as well. So again, if we go back to kind of, the Chinese authorities really cracking down on Bitcoin, again, so I talked about the Chinese digital currency, right? Their central bank digital currency. They are rolling this out, and Bitcoin is at complete odds with that, right? So again, hash rate is going to drop. You're going to see a lot of headlines. China bans Bitcoin. It is what it is. In the short term, we've seen that affect the price. But again, I think just in the long run, is Bitcoin still secure? Yes, it is. There's still enough of a hash rate and enough miners around the world that the network is resilient. It's still safe, and you can expect to see that hash rate slowly tick up again as these miners do relocate. But again, it's what it boils down to is, this could be one of the more positive developments in Bitcoin this year, just because it is such a big opportunity for Bitcoin to address that critique or problem, if you like, that it was reliant on, this effectively potentially centralized mining in China. And so that is slowly being phased out, right? So again, Naresh here just puts that into perspective when he says, I have some bad news for the people who spent the last few years going around DC telling policymakers that China controls Bitcoin, because they don't. And China is relinquishing any, I guess, potential attack vector that they did have by shooing a lot of these miners outside of their borders. Now, is this happening? So Wu Blockchain, this guy, he's on the ground in China. He's a Chinese reporter in blockchain. And so he's found some evidence of, this miner migration, right? So here, this is just small fry, but he talks about this mining company, BTCM, announced its first 320 mining machines had arrived in Kazakhstan, right? So they've moved from Sichuan to Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is one of the countries that is expected to benefit from the migration out of China. So here's another one. So this Chinese logistics firm confirmed to CNBC that it was airlifting 3,000 kilograms worth of Bitcoin mining machines to Maryland in the USA. So again, it's just, these are just small data points, but you can see it is happening as these Chinese miners relocate their rigs to Kazakhstan and the US and wherever else. So just as we start to finish off, I think, it's important to understand, for anyone worried about short-term price action on Bitcoin, this Jeff, he wants to point out that Bitcoin wouldn't be the best asymmetric bet of your lifetime if everyone else could see it, if everyone else didn't have the conviction. So, being early means that you really do risk being misunderstood by the majority. And you have to have conviction in Bitcoin for the long term, right? So Raoul Pal, again, he just kind of makes the same point here. Why we're all enjoying the volatility, and Raoul says he's quite impressed by how people are taking it. People aren't freaking out too badly so far, and Raoul says you got to remember what you're investing in with Bitcoin. The fastest rate of adoption of any technology in all history, and volatility is just noise, and it's just the adoption of a new technology. It's the kind of S-curve adoptions, and Bitcoin is being adopted at a phenomenal rate. So always pays to zoom out and bear that in mind. But that's not to say in the short term, the market has taken a hit, and will it recover, or is there more downside ahead? I don't know. I'm not an analyst, and I'll leave you with this thought. If you do want to see where the potential downside ahead is, so Josh has posted this video on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel just this morning, and look. So I'm just using this as an example, the Bitcoin pitchfork. You can see we're sort of dropped down below the median line, and so Josh, I think he says, if we hold bit down below that line, you could probably expect, Bitcoin may even go back down to 20K at some point. But for the full analysis, courtesy of Josh, he really is one of the best analysts in crypto. I do recommend you watch that video just to see how potential Bitcoin price action may play out in the short term. Long term, I don't know. If you have conviction in Bitcoin, then I'm sure in the long term everything will work out. It's just part of the ride as these kind of geopolitical movements in Bitcoin shake out. Meanwhile, there's amazing things happening in El Salvador. So never a dull moment in crypto, but can't get away from the fact that the market is down right now. But all right, that's all we have for today. I hope you learned something there. Do make sure you watch Josh's video. All right, guys, that's us. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.